I like the problem-solving piece of it, and then the people that I work with, especially in the tax resolution piece, they come in usually scared to death or even crying, and when they leave, they almost hop out of the office. It's kind of interesting because in one case we had someone come in, they were trying to get a hold of their tax preparer, they wouldn't respond, and then they finally found out the tax preparer had died. We got into this can of worms of the returns, and we thought it was going to be a simple process, and we ended up going back about 7 years trying to correct the problems, and all in order to make the current year's situation correct. So getting their problem solved correctly so that they were happy, they got the type of resolution that they were looking for in the current year, very satisfying. I mean, just to see the smile on their face, you feel like part of the family by the time you get done. Bring tears to my eyes sometimes. Some people are really grateful because they had no idea where to go, what to do, how to handle it. Nobody's helped them before. We do it at such an affordable price for people. I'm not pushing price with people, but we do it so that people can afford it that have issues. People that have tax issues really have other issues too. It's generally not just that they owe the IRS, they have financial problems, their liquidity is very limited, and nobody wants to help them. So we help people solve these problems, and they get on their feet again, they go off and they become, we have success stories, people getting their lives back together after working with us. It's a personal business. I meet with people maybe a couple hours a year, if we're in a tax resolution process, a little bit more than that. But what happens typically is I know more about you or the individual than your neighbors do or your best friends, because we break down things into very intimate issues that people just aren't willing to share with other people. And so there's a trust, a bond that's created between myself and the taxpayer, and that trust needs to be honored, and it's honored from both sides. I'll tell you one story that's kind of funny. Four people were sitting down at a table at a coffee shop over here in Uptown, and one of them said, "I need a tax preparer." And the other three all mentioned me. Now, none of the three knew that they were coming to me. And they were all surprised. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling the story. They were all surprised that they all came to me, but it shows you the level of confidentiality that we maintain with clients, that they don't know who I work with, because I never mention anything to anybody. If you came to me and your sister was coming to me, I wouldn't tell you that your sister was here. If your sister referred me, then I'd acknowledge it. But other than that, I wouldn't say a word. Yes, very much so, very much so. And privacy is very important to people. They don't want their information going out to other people. So we create a bond. I don't like people coming to me for 1 year to do something. It's hard on you, it's hard on me. We get to know each other, we develop a relationship, we know how to talk. If you're in business, we start talking about your business. We start talking about the tax ramifications of your business. We talk about funny stories that happen in your business, or things that happen good, things that happen bad. It's kind of interesting because I do a lot of work with businesses, small businesses, businesses that generally run somewhere, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to, multi-million-dollar companies. We get involved in a lot of different things with those companies and those businesses, and as they expand, they want to start finding out if their business structure is set up the best that it can be so that they can get the best tax liability or the lowest tax liability possible, keep more of their money so that the government isn't taking all of their money. It can be half, 60% of your money goes to the government. So we work real hard with doing that. So as businesses continue to grow, we keep saying, okay, is your entity structure the way that it should be? Do we need to change that? Do you want to transition into that? Sometimes people say, I want to start an S corporation. I say, well, how much money are you going to make? And they go, oh, $60,000, $80,000. Well, you don't need to be an S corp then. It's too much. You got too many rules that you have to follow and too much regimentation into what you're doing. And those people typically don't want to do that. They want to just run their business. So as they evolve and as their company grows, then we start doing more and more things for them. You know, my wife and I have had residential rental properties here in the Twin Cities now for, gosh, since 2000, so we're 16, 17 years. So a lot of the work that we do, that I do in the tax business is personal in the sense that I've done it, I've experienced it all already. Years ago, I was in the restaurant business, ran a multi-million-dollar restaurant company. I understand the business side of it. So when people come to me and they say, you know, my business is such and such, I can relate to it. I understand what, you know, what a P&L is. I've experienced that. I understand that making payroll is difficult, that people have a hard time covering those checks sometimes when the cash flow is low. I can work with people on that. I understand that the first years are lean, it's tough, you know, you're trying to scrape together pennies and stay afloat, and then you start becoming successful, and all of a sudden it's like, yahoo, now let's keep going, let's make sure that we're meeting our obligations and we're doing the thing that's best for us. So what's the connection? The connection is I can empathize with these people because I've been there, done it. I've done it for me, and as well as now I'm doing it for them. Yeah, you know, most people, if they send me a question or call me, I thank them for calling me. Because what it really does is it allows them to get the answer, be proactive on anything that's going to happen in the future. And so they like the fact that they're welcome to call me. I don't send them a bill for asking me a question. You know, please do, keep it up. I encourage them to do that all the time. We're open year-round. We have appointments basically 7 days a week, any time of the day. I usually say during tax season, nothing before 6 a.m., nothing after 10 p.m., 7 days a week, unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, I'll meet with you earlier. I've met with people at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. People they're different. They like to get involved with me in different levels. Some people, you know, I have one individual that comes in, they lay their stuff down and they say, don't ask me any questions, call me when you're done. The numbers scare me, and they're that way. I have other people that sit down and we go through everything. They ask questions, they'll ask questions about arcane portions of the tax code, and we'll talk about that. And they'll sit there through the whole process. So depending on the individual, we adapt to how the individual wants it done. You go to a CPA firm, you drop your stuff off, and then they call you up when it's done. Very little interaction. We meet your needs. We want to do what's good for the taxpayer. Taxes are foreign to most people. They don't understand it. You know, you get a couple pages of paper that at the end of it when the tax return's done, but in reality there's, you know, the tax code's this thick. We deal with clients throughout the United States, so a lot of people, you know, Texas, California, Arizona, New York, Florida. I just rattled off a few states. Literally, I think we're almost in every state. So people send us information in various forms. They'll send it via, you know, certified return receipt. They'll send it in an encrypted PDF, and then we'll work with them that way. Yeah, people that I've worked with, some people I've never met face to face. You know, they've been referred to me by somebody else, and I say referred to me, they're in another state. If people aren't happy with me, it really bothers me. It really bothers me. I take it very personally. When I do your tax return, it's an individual thing for you, unlike anybody else's. And I want it to be right, because I want you to be smiling just like you're smiling right now. Yeah, one of the things that we've kind of expanded the business a little bit. We're working with a couple of attorneys and a couple of other enrolled agents, and it's been brought about because of the Prince died and he had no estate planning in effect, and so now you've got people coming out of the woodwork, people even from prison that are trying to get a part of his wealth. And so one of the things that we started about a year ago, and we're ramping up a little bit, is doing trusts for people so that they can set up a trust so that when they pass away, they've already identified where their assets are going to go. And we do that. It's just part of the estate planning and tax planning that we do with clients. Yeah, that's one of the big complications that come up. If you don't plan it correctly and you don't know where the money's going to go, you're not going to decide how much money goes to the government and how much goes to the people that you'd like it to go to. By doing a trust, we can set it up so that it's identifiable who's going to get the money and limit the amount that the government's going to get. If you want to donate to the government, we can go ahead and set it up that way too. But if you want it to be to your family, your heirs, your kids, or your charitable organization, we can structure that so that's where the money goes. So you have control of it in the grave. It's such a personal matter, and we've talked about it before. You develop a relationship with people that you work with, and we're into relationships. If you don't like working with me, it's not going to be a good relationship for you. So if you like working with me, you'll like the attorneys that work with us on the trusts and the estates also, because they're like me. We're people first. I know it's a cliche statement, but really we look at the people first, and then we try to make sure it's right for them. We're not after it's not a, we survive in business. We're entrepreneurs. We want to provide goods and services that are beneficial to both parties, and we're not out just to make money. We want to provide a good service for you that you need, and you want to come to us. So if you want to go to somebody else, that's fine, you know, but you'll be happy with us. I'd want to do your taxes if you want me to. Typically, what happens when I do new to me, I typically ask for a couple years of prior year's returns, and I generally find something in there that actually should have been done differently. Sometimes it results in you owing more money, sometimes it results in you getting more money back. But ultimately what you'll find is that you'll end up paying the least amount of tax that you're legally obligated to pay, and not a penny more, truly. A business should come to me before they become a business, and then we'll help them get set up correctly from the very beginning. A lot of people, my brother told me to be an S-Corp, so I'm an S-Corp. You don't want to do it because somebody told you that's what you need to do. You need to set up your business structure so that you're doing what's most beneficial for you, and it's going to fit the type of business that you're going to be. So we do a lot of, right now we've got half a dozen cases where we're just working with people getting their business entity structure set up in this state and in other states. So they should come to me at the very beginning. Now, not everybody does, and most people don't. They come to me generally when they have a problem, generally when they owe taxes. And then we say, okay, this is what we need to do to get this straightened out and get it corrected so you can concentrate on your business and not worry about paying taxes. So when people get audited, it's probably one of the most frightening things that happen. And when an audit occurs, most of the time it's happenstance. It's just the IRS has a lot of programs where they try to gather information about particular individuals, to particular types of businesses, and they gather data on it. And they take that data and crunch the numbers and then develop some ranges of acceptable expenses and tolerances. So then they can plug these into the computer, and the computer then is going to flag those returns that come in when they fall outside of this collected data. And then an audit begins. An audit may be as simple as, why is my return taking so long to get processed? Well, somebody's looking at it. You may never get a letter, nothing may happen. And generally they'll say, oh, that looks reasonable for what this particular individual's doing, and then it'll go on through. So you don't see most audits. The audits that you do see is the full-blown ones where they want to see all your bank records, your past due tax returns, all the receipts for everything that you spent. I've had people come to me that literally that are crying because we try to do everything right. We can't, why are they auditing us? Luck of the draw. They did nothing wrong. The IRS just wanted to gather data from them. So we try to make that as painless as possible for people.